welcome. You can't see me to the season 9 RFL Gridiron Playoff Selection Show. Of course, I'm your host Gerald, or Caleb, whatever you want to call me at this point. As previously mentioned, this is a pre-recording because I will not be available tomorrow night at all to make this for you all. So, pre-recorded selection show for season number 9. Hopefully season 10 we get back to normal. We can do this live as always, have people on camera, stuff like that, what we always do. But I'm going to, sit down and put my mic back on the stand, and we will hopefully get this started. All right, season number 9 selection show. Nope, that's not what I want. Intro, here we go. Yeah, all right, season 9 selection show. As you can see, we have the FCS playoff bracket behind me. We will start with them. And for at least the near future, the final FCS playoff selection show for the FCS. We are moving. This is the official announcement. Moving to just a 32-team league in the FBS. Hopefully we have around that signed up currently, so that's probably what we'll go with. But we've wasted, already enough time. Let's get into the bracket. We will start with the number 1 seed in the FCS. The Mississippi State Bulldogs checking in the 8-1 solid season, avenging their only loss in the conference championship to Kentucky. Overall, which was dominant throughout the season. No one really stayed up with them or competed with them except for Kentucky, their closest battle so far. Number 1 seed winning the FCS East Conference. All right, at number 2. The Baylor Bears, champions of the FCS West Conference, also a conference champion, also 8-1, undefeated in conference play. So that is something to keep in mind. They were undefeated in conference play. It was a solid season for Baylor. A lot of forfeit wins, unfortunately, but got the job done when it mattered. Number 2 on the year, sitting at 8-1. We will now move to number 3. It's the Oregon State Beavers checking in at 8-1 at number 3, champions of the FCS North Conference, beating Pittsburgh for that right. And Oregon State, also another dominant team. For the longest time, people were saying it should have been number 1. Lost an important game early in the season to, kind of quiet down that push. But number 3 seed, Oregon State, first round bye. Really can't be too upset with that. But the final first round bye at the 4 seed. For the FCS playoffs. The Kentucky Wildcats, as we said, beat number 1 Mississippi State in the regular season, lost to them in the conference championship. That means the FCS South champion North Carolina, not a top 4 seed. They're most likely a first round bye. They are not have been in the playoffs, as is basically everyone in the FCS, because all 12 teams made it because they were only 12 active. So we're rewarding every team that was active making the playoff, so all 12 will make it. But yeah, Kentucky 8-1, 4 8-1 teams. They're all in the top 4. Kentucky checking out number 4 will host the second or the quarterfinals in Lexington. All right, first round game. Who is hosting at number 5? It is the FCS South champions. North Carolina, 6-3 on the season, undefeated in conference play. Lost a couple of out of conference games, but dominated the South Conference Championship game. 55-0 was the score. Solid opponent all year for teams he played against. Really can't be too upset with the record of 6-3, hosting the first round game at the number 5 seed in Chapel Hill. We will see who their opponent is later, but we will move on to number 6. It's the Pittsburgh Panthers, who check in at number 6. Lost to Oregon State in the FCS North Championship game. Finished at 7-2, though, coming in that game. Obviously, we're 7-1. Could have been a top 4 team potentially with a win, but I don't think they'll be too upset with a number 6 appearance, hosting another first-round game, and in a pretty high seed. So, Pittsburgh at the 6 seed. All right, moving on to number 7. The Florida Gators checking at number 7 in a division with Kentucky and Mississippi State, probably arguably the most difficult division in the FCS this year. Finished 3rd in the FCS East, lost to both teams in that division, won every other game, 6-2 on the season, hosting another first-round game in Gainesville. Once again, don't feel like they could be too upset about hosting a game in the first round at number 7. We'll find out their opponent just a little bit, but so we'll move on to number 8, the final first round host of the at the number 8 seed for the FCS. Washington State gets the nod, finishing at 5-4. As you said earlier, lost in the conference championship game 55-0 North Carolina, but Computer thought they did enough to get the 8 seed and hosting a game in Pullman, Washington to begin the postseason. We'll find out their opponent in just a second, but Washington State 5-4. Coach EDP did a great job on a bounce back year for him, having a winning record, losing on the conference championship game, but it doesn't matter. Hosting a game at the 8 seed at number 9. Houston, the runner-up in the FCS West Conference, 4-5 on the season, lost to Baylor in the conference championship game. Stayed in the games with a couple of ranked opponents, just kind of got out of hand late, but 4-5 heading to Pullman, Washington for their first round game. The 8-9 matchup is set. Now we move on to who is heading to Gainesville, Florida to face the Gators. At the 10 seed, it's UCLA, another team from the FCS South Conference, 4-4 on the season. Lost to Washington State and North Carolina, knocked him out of the conference championship game. But 4-4, once again, another great bounce back season for another opponent who has struggled in previous seasons. Finally found his groove, won 4 games, and then the playoffs heading to Florida. All right, at number 11, heading to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The Louisville Cardinals at 2-6. Great year for Louisville. Kind of got caught up late. Stayed in games, just could not find a way to win it at the end. Beat Houston on beat Nebraska on a wacky fumble to win that game by 4. Speaking of Nebraska, they are the 12 seed, checking at 3-5, heading to Chapel Hill, North Carolina. That is your bracket for the FCS. Nebraska heads to North Carolina, and Louisville heading to Pittsburgh to round out your first round games. Once again, for those that are new, the quarterfinals will reseed. As you can see, Mississippi State will face the lowest seed that comes through. So let's just say North Carolina, Pittsburgh, UCLA, and Washington State wins. Mississippi State would place UCLA, since UCLA would be the lowest seed that comes through. So I hope that helps explain to the new people. The quarterfinal games are not just as simple as 5 versus 12 faces Mississippi State. It reseeds. So that is it. However, we are not done tonight. We still have the FBS playoffs, which do not have all 12 teams guaranteed. Some people don't know their fate for tonight. In fact, only 2 conferences got an auto bid because the EAC and WAC did not play their conference championship games, which means no auto bid was deserved or not given to the regular season champion. So the EAC and WAC do not have an auto bid. Now, most likely, they're going to have a couple teams in, at least one from each, for sure. So, with that being said, let us head to the FBS playoff selection show here. Here is the FBS bracket semifinals in the Rose Bowl and Fiesta Bowl. All right, at the number 1 seed, this is gonna have it's had a lot of debate leading up this week after USC beat Oklahoma State in the conference championship, but LSU's undefeated 11-0. USC's at 10-1. Let's see what the computer said. Who will be number 1? It is the undefeated LSU Tigers. Probably the first time we've had an FCS. Oh, there's USC. I don't know why that didn't pause. There you go. There are your first 2 seeds. Baton Rouge, Louisiana will be hosting the quarterfinal game with LSU at 11-0. USC will have a team come to Los Angeles in the quarterfinals as well. But these teams were the 2, the battles for who's going to be number 1 this year. There's really no other team up there with them. These 2 have dominated every opponent so far. LSU being undefeated probably gave them the edge there, not losing a game. USC lost in the final week of the season to Oklahoma State for avenging their loss in the conference championship game. But, those are the top 2 seeds. All right, at number 3. It is the Oklahoma Sooners at 9-1. Like I said, the EAC did not have a conference championship game, so Oklahoma did not get their 11th game. But 9-1 only lost to once again Oklahoma State early in the season. beating Michigan, Penn State, and Alabama, though. A couple of those they've lost to in the past couple of seasons. 9-1 in the year. Hosting a quarterfinal game, getting a first-round bye. And we will head on to the final first-round bye for the FBS playoffs. It is going to be Northern Kentucky getting the final first-round bye. As you can see, the record's 8-1. Did not finish their game against Oregon. Just could not get that scheduled. So it'll go down as a no contest, and the WAC did not get their conference championship game as well. So NKU finishes with 9 games completed. But they get a first-round bye, and we'll have another game in Highland Heights, Kentucky. The natty runner-up in Season 8 is back as a top 4 seed. All right, now hosting the first-round game at the 5 seed. It is Oklahoma State, who has beat 2 of the top 3 seeds in USC and Oklahoma. Oklahoma State, the runner-up of the GCC, finishing at 9-2. One of the losses coming to USC. Another one coming to the defending national champion, Howell, and Ole Miss in week 1 of the season. Other than that, Oklahoma State looked dominant all year. They dominated Oklahoma. They stayed in with USC in both games, beating one, losing one, but hosting a first-round game with Stillwater, Oklahoma. At the 5 seed, we'll find out who they play later in the show. At number 6, the Michigan Wolverines, 8-2 on the year. 2 losses in the first week of the season. Started the year off 0-2, rattled off 8 straight wins to finish 8-2. Like I said earlier, no EAC Conference Championship. Oklahoma-Michigan would have been the matchup, but it was too late to play that game whenever all the forfeits went in. So Michigan finishes at 8-2. And the 6th seed hosting a game in Ann Arbor, Michigan, probably for the 3rd straight year. At number 7, we go, and it will be the Oregon Ducks of the WAC. Now you can see the record are 6-1, so only finished 7 games. However, there's the number 8 seed. Still don't know why that's not pausing, but here are your teams that are hosting the first round byes, or hosting the games in the first round or quarterfinals. Maryland getting the nod at number 8 from the RBC, highest RBC team. Or excuse me, LSU is the highest Rust Belt team. Maryland is the 2nd. Maryland, LSU, 2 FCS teams from the previous season getting called up, making some noise. LSU is probably the first ever team from, Georgia did that in Season 8, but LSU definitely the first FCS team to go from FCS to FBS and be the number 1 seed and go undefeated. So that isn't a history that they made. Maryland coming in at 8-2, hosting the first round game in College Park. Like I said, going back to Oregon, only got 7 games in, but the computer liked what they did in those 7 games, put him at number 7. Had he got the rest of those games in, he might have moved up, but we will never know. Hosting a game in Eugene, and Maryland, like we said, hosting a game in College Park. All right, at number 9, heading to College Park, Maryland, the Alabama Crimson Tide also did not get this game against Oregon finished with 9 games, lost to Michigan and Oklahoma. But other than that, stayed in those games till the very ends. But we'll head to College Park, Maryland, to take on the Terrapins in the first round. At number 10, heading to Eugene, Oregon, it is the Kansas Jayhawks checking at 7-3. It's going to be a conference matchup in the first round between Oregon and Kansas. Both these teams are in the WAC. So, and we saw this earlier. Kansas upset Oregon in the regular season. Can they do it again in the playoffs to advance themselves, the defending FCS champion from Season 8? All right, now that's where we get a little interesting. But before we do that, we're going to show up some bowl games. So, heading to the Arizona Bowl, we have Clemson and Utah. Clemson at 2-8 in the GCC. Previous Missouri head coach in Utah finished at 5-5, the first time not having a losing season in the regular season in FBS. So both achievements there. That should be a fun game to watch in the Arizona Bowl. All right. Now in the LA Bowl, we have Washington and NC State, the WAC versus EAC. 4-6, Washington 3-7. NC State should be a good game there as well. Both these teams are pretty similar to each other in my opinion. Both were in FCS last season, so it should be fun to watch those as well. The final bowl game we released, we have one more after this as well, but I don't want to give away who's in, who's not. Final bowl game, it's got to be the Duke's Mayo Bowl. It's been a classic under the league, and it's here to stay. This year's Duke Mayo Bowl is Michigan State, Arizona State. 3-6 Michigan State, 4-6 Arizona State, who is ranked for a part of the season. but just could not win enough to get in the playoffs. But that is your Duke's Mayo Bowl for season number 9. All right, now we got that out of the way. Who is number 11? For those that don't know, a couple of key people we don't see on this board yet. Wad, who was at 5-5 this year, just could not get some games done. He had some forfeits late in the year, but we'll see what the computer does with them. Ole Miss, the defending national champions, are not here yet. Will they get in as a 7-3 team from the GCC? No, they are in the GCC. He just did not make the conference championship. We also don't see Auburn on here, who was 7-4, made the RBC championship game. A couple of other teams, that could there. Ohio State had a great year, 6-4. All those teams we don't see yet, but at number 11, heading to Ann Arbor, Michigan, it is the Ole Miss Rebels, the Season 8 national champions, heading to Ann Arbor, Michigan. A solid year for Ole Miss. A couple of upsets though in the early seasons. Kansas also beat then number 1 Ole Miss. But 7-3, solid season for the Rebels. It's trying to defend their crown in season number 9 and have the opportunity to, but have to go on the road in round 1 and head to Ann Arbor, a tough matchup for the defending champs. All right, the final seed at number 12, heading to Stillwater, Oklahoma to face Coach Hawkeyes. The Auburn Tigers, runner-up of the RBC, losing to LSU in the conference championship game. 7-4 in the final season for Slater for a little bit. Got in the playoffs, did all he could, stayed in tough games. One of the games he should have lost, the games that he could have had a chance to win. Got in the playoffs, though, and that is your playoff bracket. Ohio State, Georgia, Penn State do not make the field. With that being said, here is your Vegas Bowl. It is Georgia versus Ohio State in the Las Vegas Bowl. Should be a good matchup there, GCC versus EAC. But that'll be it. That is your FCS and FBS playoff brackets. Like I said earlier, I don't know why my camera is so fuzzy. That is not good at all. Let's see if it fixes itself. I don't know. I guess we're going to stay like this for a little bit. Maybe this will be better. Nope, it's not. I don't know why it's fuzzy. Yeah, we're actually going to take that off anyway. Final season for FCS for a while until he gets back some players that actually play their games. All teams that we called up to FBS, you'll know shortly, and all teams staying as well. All those teams should be pretty active, though, so we have a good idea. And it should be a fun season number 10. Probably the last season before we get new rosters. I don't think CFBR's rosters will be ready. I'm going to leave this on because at this point it doesn't matter. But that'll do it for this selection show. I will send the brackets later after you guys see this, or I might have someone else do it for me. Don't know, but thank you guys for watching. I wish I could have done this live, just could not find the time to do it on the time you're seeing it on Sunday at 7:30. Should be around 7:50 Central Time. So not the longest selection show, but it's because we don't have cameras this year and stuff. So we got to the point, we got it done. I'll see you for season 10 selection show. It'll be back to the good old coach on cams, everything like that. But yeah, here is your final look at the FBS playoff brackets, and you guys are free to do this. Remember, all playoff games are required to be neutral hosts. There's no exceptions to this. I'm really talking to you, FCS, since most of you guys are new, don't really know. Postseason games 100% required to be a neutral host, so you need to try to go find one to play. But with that, I will leave you guys with this, and see you guys later for the selection show. Coming up this week, we also have RFCL again, 5 games this week. But until then, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you later.